Tonight, the Premier puts Tasmanians on a terror alert. New air pollution fears for our population centres. And the ride of a lifetime on monster waves.
Win local news with Tame.
Good evening. Premier Jim Bacon today confirmed the federal government's instructed Tasmania to guard against the threat of terrorist attacks. The warning comes as concerns mount over the probable visit of a US warship next month.
Mr Bacon told Parliament Canberra had sounded its warning yesterday of the threat confronting the states, Tasmania included.
That it has received credible information of a possible terrorist attack in Australia at some time over the next couple of months.
And he went on to personally put the population on alert.
It is important for us all to remain alert and report to police anything unusual or suspicious.
With a US aircraft carrier crewed by 5,000 expected to weigh anchor in the Derwent next month, many Tasmanians are jittery over the security risk the Americans pose. The Greens say government departments contacted yesterday had no knowledge of a state emergency service website. The Greens want public evacuation plans to be posted in public libraries.
Bureaucrats didn't know whether evacuation plans exist.
The Liberals say any disclosure of emergency plans could pose a breach to security.
Releasing information on security issues obviously is fraught with problems. If that could be used against the security personnel.
Jim Bacon says while the Commonwealth oversees national security, the states must be the first to act if terrorists strike.
There is an extremely serious situation in the country at the moment, and there is a very high level of concern about the possibility of terrorist attack.
The US Navy's yet to confirm the date of its planned carrier visit. Hugh McLean, Win Local News.
A West Australian man has denied assaulting and intimidating the crew of an aircraft on board a plane at Hobart. 47-year-old Francois-Yves Marcel Danier of South Perth did not appear, instead entering the not guilty plea through his lawyer in Hobart Magistrates Court today. He also denied 2 charges of common assault against a flight attendant by pushing and slapping her about the shoulders, chest and arms during the incident in July. Meanwhile, a Victorian man has denied organising the attempted bombing of Tasmania's forensic science laboratories in Newtown. 45-year-old Bernard John Hall of Leongatha pleaded not guilty to attempting to pervert the course of justice between January and March 2 years ago. A 27-year-old woman has been flown to the Royal Hobart Hospital after falling down a ski slope in the Cradle Mountain National Park. The police rescue helicopter winched the woman to safety from the bottom of the 70-metre slope late this afternoon. She's believed to be in a stable condition. A state government plan to reduce class sizes in early primary school has had a lukewarm reception from educators. The Teachers' Union says Tasmania is lagging behind other states when it comes to getting class numbers down.
Promised by the government during the state election, Education Minister Paula Reid today announced cuts to class sizes in Tasmania's public schools.
We will begin implementation from next year of our policy to reduce class sizes in prep and year 1. Additional resources will be provided to schools.
The package will cost $2 million to limit the classes to 25 students, helping those in their formative learning years. But the Education Union is unimpressed.
Western Australia, South Australia, Victoria and Queensland already have agreements limiting class sizes in prep and year 1 to 21 students. If New South Wales, as expected, does follow, Tasmania will be the odd state out.
Paula Reid says the reality interstate is different.
If you actually go and look at schools in other states, I think you'll find classes of 30 and 35 and even slightly higher.
And not only is the Education Union unhappy with class limits of 25, it wants reductions in all primary school years.
We are fully supportive of limiting class sizes in prep and 1. What we are saying to the government is we shouldn't stop there.
Of course we would like to have lower class sizes, but it is a matter of being able to fit it into the budget.
The government says class limits will be phased in over the next 4 years. Brent Blackburn, Win Local News.
A Supreme Court jury has found a Glenorchy man not guilty of attempting to murder a police officer. The jury has instead found Peter Horacek guilty of attempting to wound Constable Adam Spencer during an incident in July. The 54-year-old's also been found guilty of committing an unlawful act intended to cause grievous bodily harm when he stabbed Constable Spencer in the leg with a spear-like knife. Justice Pierre Slicer will sentence him in January. A Bridgewater family is homeless tonight after their house burnt down today. Tasmania Fire Service crews were called to the Carroll Road home just after midday. They arrived finding the kitchen and lounge room well alight.
Well, it appears at the early stages of the investigation that the fire had started in the laundry from it appears to be a twin tub washing machine.
The occupants of the Housing Tasmania house were home at the time of the fire but escaped unharmed. More than $50,000 worth of damage has been done. Tasmania could be suffering from the effects of harmful air pollution without knowing it. Experts are gathering support for a new monitoring program to try and gauge the levels of small particle pollution.
Tasmanians have long been forced to endure less than adequate air quality levels. Large particle pollution from wood heaters and car emissions are higher in winter than on the mainland. Experts say superfine pollutants could also be higher. They want Tasmania to join a new national standard air quality monitoring program to detect the levels of so-called PM.25s.
We don't know a lot about the levels in regional centres or in some of the other parts of the country, and we need to start collecting that information so that we can build a database and get some actions in place to reduce levels of PM2.5.
The National Blueprint for Air Quality aims to reduce a host of medical conditions often heightened by air pollutants.
Exposure to these particles are associated with increases in premature deaths from mainly cardiovascular, heart disease and respiratory disease.
It's up to Canberra to approve the monitoring system, which will involve all Australian states buying specialist equipment.
There's a lot of support for getting this standard in place from all stakeholders, so we're hoping it will go through without any problems.
Asthmatics are praying the new air quality standard will be adopted. A decision isn't expected to be handed down until April next year. Sarah Mittaf, Win Local News.
Confirmation today, the Main Health Group is considering selling off its underperforming hospitals in Tasmania. Main owns and operates the Mersey General, Hobart Private and St Helens hospitals.
And I can confirm that people from Ernst Young are in fact and have been at the Trove Mersey Hospital doing inventory checks and so on.
The government says that's all it knows. A spokesperson for Main would not say which sites are under review. The maritime industry's export boom continues. Hobart life raft manufacturer Life Raft Systems Australia has just signed 4 new contracts, including its first American deal.
It's a long-awaited breakthrough into the lucrative US market. This $400,000 order from New York's Director Shipyards is for 2 inflatable emergency slides and 4 rafts, part of the fit-out for a new Alaskan ferry.
The market is growing over there and we see a lot of potential.
And with a second order in to Director for another Alaskan ferry, Life Raft Systems is confident it'll supply another evacuation system. Meanwhile, Incat's placed a $500,000 order to fit out its second US defence boat, and Italian shipbuilder Rodriguez has put in its 5th order, this time $1 million worth of rafts and slides.
These latest orders add to a growing file of international contracts for the Hobart manufacturer, which now include Greek and French shipbuilders and the French military.
Job numbers will remain the same, but if current quotes turn into contracts, employment could lift by up to 25%.
There's certainly an emerging market in America which we're trying to capture.
The first American order is due for delivery early next year. Margaret Decker, Win Local News.
Still to come on Win Local News, attracting people to live in Kingborough, and Tasmania joins an international fight against lung disease.
Tonight on Win National News, Solomon Lew's failed fight to stay on the Coles Maya board, an environmental catastrophe as an oil tanker sinks off Spain, and the military truck inspired by James Bond. Now back to local news.
Tasmania is set to lose the chance to buy back some of the state's earliest currency. These rare promissory notes are up for auction in Sydney tomorrow. This one, dating back to 1823, is set to fetch about $10,000. The Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery says the collection of 58 notes is important, and while it's been searching for public and private donors, all funds are being directed towards paying for its latest Glover painting. The government says it won't be spending any money on the notes because the State Library already holds a representative collection of the items. Tasmania is joining an international campaign to combat one of the world's leading causes of death. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease affects about 1 in 10 adults. The main cause, cigarette smoking.
A simple lung function test like this.
Pop the pipe in and blow it. Good. Keep going as long as you can go. Keep going.
Is enough to discover a range of major lung problems. The test was being offered at Royal Hobart Hospital to raise awareness of one of them, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease.
COPD is a broad term for chronic bronchitis and emphysema. It's a chronic lung disease that people usually get as a result of tobacco smoking.
Dr Wood-Baker says its prevalence hasn't really been recognised. It's thought to affect about 1 in 10 adults, causing 6,000 deaths in Australia every year. COPD has hit at least one prominent Tasmanian.
But I became aware of it through shortness of breath, and I'm a pretty energetic sort of a person, and I just found that I wasn't breathing as well as I should, and I was diagnosed with emphysema.
As in almost all cases, Mr Hodgman's condition was caused by cigarette smoking. He's given up, but as with others, has to deal with the progressive disease. Some people end up unable to perform daily activities and may need to be on oxygen long term.
The Lung Foundation says COPD has significant health and economic costs. It can reduce the average lifespan by about 8 years, and it's estimated to cost the Australian health system more than $1 billion a year.
We'd like to see people stopping smoking so that they don't get the disease at all, and we'd also like to see people presenting to their own doctors earlier in the disease so that we can intervene earlier and stop progression.
Dr Wood-Baker advises people to see their doctor if they've been smoking for 10 years or more or are experiencing shortness of breath. Penny Salter, Win Local News.
A campaign is underway to convince mainlanders to sell up and move to Kingborough. The council will spend $60,000 promoting itself nationally and aboard Spirits 1 and 2 as the perfect lifestyle choice.
We're targeting the first home buyers, the retirees and the business people.
Kingborough is Tasmania's fastest growing municipality. It hopes to boost the local population from 30 to 40,000 people over the coming year. Tasmania's top building students have received more than $40,000 towards their futures. The country's first ever graduate program aims to help better their skills and employment opportunities within the local construction industry.
Grade 12 students will now be given the chance to join the building workforce. It's part of a new initiative to see young Tasmanians offered cadetships in the industry, leading to a degree in construction management.
But if we are to have a viable construction industry, as indicated, there has been some improvement in the levels of construction in this state, then we do need people at this level to operate. And if we are to grow the industry, then these people are crucial for the future of the industry.
The program, put together by the NBA, will see 5 cadets mentored in a building company. The $40,000 funding will assist them in their 6-year part-time degrees.
It seems like a very good program. I think that everyone should get a lot out of it, and definitely improve the quality of work and that here in Tasmania. So
2 subsequent cadetships will be offered each year as part of the long-term goal to keep builders in Tasmania. Jane Bestwick, Win Local News.
As we reported, there are growing concerns about a possible US warship visit to Hobart this new year. It sparked heated debate in Parliament, and today it was your say.
No, I don't feel threatened by it. I'm quite supportive of the warships coming in here. I don't think it'll make us any more secure, but I don't think we'll become a target because of it.
It makes me feel a bit insecure, actually. Yeah, I don't know so much about a target, but it does make me feel a bit uneasy under the present conditions.
I don't think it would be a target or more secure. I think down here in Tasmania it's so far away from everything. I really don't, and there's nothing that of much significance for anybody to bomb. I don't think it has any impact whatsoever.
Well, no more than any other time, and I think it's really good that the Americans are coming in because it gives us an opportunity. That's actually what I think, yeah. It's a good opportunity for us to share our hospitality with them, and it's always great fun when the Americans come.
I'm at the moment feeling fairly secure about having those sorts of people around. I'm a bit worried about what's going on in the rest of the world and here, so you know, we're going to rely on those people sooner rather than later maybe, so I support it. I think they do a lot of good for the state as well while they're here.
I would have thought that
mainland Australia would be first, but if that's the case, we might be. Let's hope not.
And that's your say. To sport now, and the Tigers looking to turn around their season.
Yes, Penny, selectors make changes ahead of the match starting Friday. Also tonight, tackling Tasmania's monster waves. Good evening. The Tasmanian Tigers have made 2 changes to the side in a bid to produce a purer cup form reversal. Veteran paceman David Saker has been dropped, allowing Adam Griffith to make his debut in the 4-day game against New South Wales.
Good to finally get a chance to play for your state, something you train for and work hard for years and years, so it's good to get out here on Bellerive as well and to get the first game here, yeah.
Tenacious left-handed opener Scott Mason has been brought in to replace Ricky Ponting, who has test duties.
It's a great opportunity for me to come in and get some runs and build the team spirit up, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, mate.
The match is the Tigers' first at Bellerive and starts on Friday. The world's premier tarmac rally, Targa Tasmania, will have a new stage in the north next year. The section will be held through the streets of Perth, increasing the number of stages in the event to 45. With huge fields and spectator numbers a feature of the event each year, Targa organisers have responded to a public appeal for a stage through the township of Perth.
A lot of locals decided they'd like to see a stage around the township of Perth, and we've developed a course there, and it looks like being a very small, tight but very exciting stage.
The Perth stage is 3.12 kilometres in distance and will be the final stage of the second leg around the north and east coast on May the 15th. 226 entries have already been received for the 12th Targa Tasmania.
We're really hoping we can break the 300 mark. We had 299 entries in 2000, and we think we're well on track to get over 300 in 2003.
This year's event also has a new car category, the touring group targeting historic and classic cars.
We're really aiming at getting some of these cars out of the garages and onto the roads. It's a non-competition. They'll be driving at normal road speeds, but they can be part of the event. They can put their cars on display in our expos and drive over our terrific roads.
A Salamanca stage is not being considered for this year's event. Targa Tasmania gets underway on May the 13th. Several Tasmanian teenagers are facing an anxious wait ahead of Sunday's AFL National Draft. Heading the list is East Devonport's Jason Laycock, considered a chance to be drafted in the first round.
After placing top 5 in the Tassie Mariners' best and fairest, Jason Laycock's now being rated as one of the brightest teenage prospects in the land. Clubs queuing up to court the youngster in the lead up to the draft. Athletic, fast and capable of playing in attack or in the ruck, Laycock's rise has been meteoric after a late introduction to the game.
Sort of started playing football in grade 9 and made the state under 16 team in grade 10 and All-Australian team, and then sort of realised what can go from there.
Thrilled with the giant steps taken by Laycock this season, coaching staff expect him to secure an early pick, possibly in the first round.
His second half of the year was really good and enhanced his chances, but he's just a tall athlete and you can't afford to let those ones go.
Also causing a ripple in recruiting circles, Mariners captain and Morris medal recipient Burnie's Luke Shackleton also hoping his number comes up on Sunday.
At the actual draft camp I had 7 interviews and Collingwood's been ringing up just every now and then just seeing how everything's going.
Among other Mariners hopefuls on Sunday is Launceston defender Brennan Savage. Southern pair Mick Thompson and Rowan Andrews also in the mix. Guy McLean, Win Local News.
Renowned big wave surfers Ross Clark-Jones and Tony Ray have ridden the largest waves ever seen in the country right here in Tasmania. The pair putting it all on the line at Shipsterns Bluff on the state's southeast coast. They were in town on a 2-week mission to find and surf Australia's biggest waves. Shipsterns didn't let them down. The pair towed each other into 20-foot monsters with jet skis at what is rapidly becoming recognised as the heaviest rideable wave in the world.
It's a scary wave. It's dangerous. It's not cute at all. It's nasty.
It wasn't until 2 years ago that shippies gained notoriety. Before that, only a select few madmen knew about it and were brave enough to take it on. But as Tony Ray quickly found with epic waves like this one, putting your life on the line is a small price to pay.
Yeah, I was squatted right down and all of a sudden I realised that the lip was pitching so far out sideways that I could hardly see it. It was just miles out there, and I was like, oh, I could just stand up in here. There's something real. I could wave my arms around, and that was amazing.
Vision of the pair surfing the dynamic Tasmanian wave will be included on a range of surfing videos. Crazy stuff. Do you think you'd tackle Shipsterns, Penny?
Not for any amount of money, Al. The weather's up next. Launceston and Burnie reached the state's maximum temperature today, 20 degrees. Hobart recorded 17, Bruny Island and Port Arthur 14, Swansea 17, Strathgordon 14 and Strawn 16. In the north, Devonport 17, St Helens 16 degrees and Cradle Mountain 13. To boating and variable winds below 15 knots at first tomorrow, with afternoon sea breezes about the north and northerlies at 10 to 20 knots about the south. It should be fine across most of the state tomorrow. Strawn 17, Launceston 19, mainly fine and 18 for Burnie and Devonport. St Helens and Swansea both fine and 18. A top of 17 and fine for Hobart tomorrow. Showers Friday, but fine and mild to warm on the weekend. Finally tonight, students from St Michael's Collegiate Junior School today handed over scores of toys to Ronald McDonald House. They've been running a special toy drive for the past 2 weeks in the lead up to World Children's Day.
It's the day that the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child was signed in 1989, and World Children's Day, as far as McDonald's worldwide goes, which is in about 121 countries, they're trying to raise money to help seriously ill children live happier, healthier lives.
Hobart's Ronald McDonald House opened in 1998 and since then has been a home away from home for almost 700 Tasmanian families.